Hey everybody, Aaron Cowan, Sage Dynamics. This week's question for the questions answered, what do I think about Airsoft? Now, speaking to the shooter who wants a force-on-force option, because simunitions and UTM, they're not readily available to the public. There's some litigation, or not, I shouldn't say litigation, there's some liability reasons for that on the company side, because it can be unsafe if used incorrectly, and it's very easy, if safety protocols aren't followed, to introduce a live firearm or live ammunition into the training environment, because you're usually dealing with people who carry firearms for a living, which is no different as far as equipment goes from the average CCW citizen. They carry a firearm every single day. So as far as real gun to fake gun, or I should say real gun to training gun to real gun, the possibility for negligence, possibility for a safety issue still exists. So that's one of the reasons, and I can't speak for all the reasons, but that's one of the reasons it's a little bit harder for most people to get their hands on what I consider the pinnacle of force-on-force training aid, which is a simunitions based or a force-on-force based training munition, such as UTM or simunitions FX system. Airsoft is something you can just go pick up. Some states have specific rules on who can buy it, how old you have to be, things of that nature. Gun features such as the orange tip, or they got to be clear or something like that. But it's still something you can get, and it's usually something that you can find a very, very functional replica of whatever your carry gun happens to be. There might be some slight differences, but the weight's going to be similar, the feel's going to be similar, the trigger's going to be close, depending on how much you're willing to spend for the replica. And you can still use your same holsters and same accessories. On that aspect alone, it is a valuable tool, but it is not 100% not a replacement for live fire. So if you don't have access to force-on-force, or you can't afford to spend the money for a force-on-force class, because they usually are more expensive because the ammunition is very expensive. A simunitions pistol round is going to run you 40 to 50 cents per round. So when you see simunitions, or I should say force-on-force classes, they're a little bit more expensive than live fire classes, that's usually the reason, because us as instructors, we have to recoup the cost of the ammunition, because we don't know how much ammunition you're going to shoot. Most of us, the way that I conduct my force-on-force classes is I give you what ammo you normally carry. So I know the maximum amount of rounds that you're going to shoot, but I don't know the minimum amount of rounds that you're going to shoot. So I want to give you what you can shoot. But if you shoot all that ammo, and if everybody shoots every single round I ever give them, then that could turn the class, as far as ammo costs go, it can be extremely expensive. So that's one of the reasons that your force-on-force classes are more expensive. Plus, we have to carry higher insurance. We got to take care of, perishable items such as training, safety gear, and things of that nature. But on an individual level, you and the friends that you train and practice with, you can get into Airsoft relatively inexpensively, and you can test and validate a lot of your skill sets, so long as you don't allow it to kind of devolve into a game. And that's, from my standpoint, that's always been the biggest concern, like I kind of already touched on, is if you're going to use it to replicate or to replace or to fill that gap in training, then you need to treat it as realistically as possible. Airsoft, I think, was intentionally designed for game-based simulations, but there's no reason at all that it can't fill that gap in your training and your practice regimen to give you the ability to validate skill sets and to refresh things that you don't normally get to refresh in a square range environment or live fire at all. Now finally, Airsoft is a game. Airsoft is a sport. Do I look down on it? No. I'm not so foolish or myopic to think that I'm somehow better than an airsofter or somebody who does milsim, just because that's a hobby that they have. For a lot of people, shooting is a hobby. It may be something they take very seriously because they also use it for self-defense, but they're probably going to shoot more often in a more of a practice or training regimen than they will as a self-defense regimen or self-defense situation. The only issue I've ever taken with, and it's more on the milsim side of the house, is guys kind of running around wearing stuff they didn't earn. So guys, he's got his replica SEAL kit, but he's wearing, legit patches, full spec, everything like that. You didn't earn the Budweiser. The guys running around as SF, you didn't earn the tab. So I got a problem with that, but that's pretty much it. From I say a legacy point of view, the kids that are getting into Airsoft, the kids that are getting into milsim, those are our future gun owners. Those kids and young adults are the future voice of the Second Amendment. So think about what your premise is the next time you kind of look down on somebody or make fun of them because they participate in Airsoft or because they participate in milsim. Those are our future shooters. Now, they may only stay in that one lane, and they may just buy guns and become a shot timer dynamo on Instagram, and that's, you know, that's fine as long as they stay in their lane. There's no replacement for actual experience. So guys that are going out and doing the airsoft and the airsoft and the milsim thing, they're not getting a replacement for actual real life military combat experience, or real life police experience, or real life, you know, just general use of force experience. But they are future shooters, and some of them have already transferred into adulthood and become gun owners, and they still participate in airsoft and milsim. I have an alumni of mine who's really big into the milsim thing, and it's awesome. Because he understands what his lane is, and he's not trying to supplant his milsim or his airsoft experience for a real life experience and say, well, based on all these cool mock building clearings we've done, I can now go ahead and teach that to SWAT operators, or I wouldn't use the term SWAT operator, but SWAT guys or military and so on and so forth. So as long as lanes are respected, because experience is a real thing, and you can't get experience through osmosis. You can't get experience through replication of someone else's experience. So that would be the only issue that I would take with it. But beside that, if you kind of turn your nose up at airsofters and milsim guys, again, check your premise. These are our future gun owners, and this is the future voice of the Second Amendment, whether you like it or not. These are the guys who are going to start off with a kind of with it as a hobby, and it may become a serious passion for them, just like it has for us, myself, and a lot of the other Second Amendment community that's out there. So as far as that aspect goes, that's kind of my feelings on airsoft. I don't really know how I can get more specific than that, unless you guys had specific questions about what I would use airsoft for, which is something I can definitely cover in a future video. But that's about it. I'm Aaron Cowan with Sage Dynamics, training accordingly.